Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works on the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
Hey, I'm WeiryWriter.
You're in a corner now. Slightly different.
I'm in the exact same place.
It's just, but your camera angle's different.
Because usually my laptop is here, but now my laptop is here because my new laptop is here.
Uh-huh.
So
it was really cool how every time you said here, your hands and arms were like outside of the camera window.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was intentional.
It really allowed me to imagine where things were.
Yeah.
I would show you with the webcam, but it's a pain to get that in the right place.
Yes. Also joining me is Evgeni, who has a new toy.
I have a new toy. I have many new toys actually. I got this, and listeners, you're gonna miss out on this, but I got this.
What about singers though?
Hey,
miss out?
Subsets. This is a Key Smart key ring, except it's not a ring.
Okay. Also joining us is Grace.
I'm Gator Girl.
Great. Just cut that off right there, Argent. And I'm Chaos. And in May, there were a bunch of signings in Germany, which took some time to transcribe.
They're due to privacy laws
Yes.
in Germany. We had to alter our usual process for transcription.
Which makes things a lot slower. So we're doing them now. But also, before we do that, there was a updated reading of Stormlight 4. And I'll put a timestamp in the description if you want to skip us talking about this. But I thought we'd talk about that and Brandon's recent Stormlight 4 update number 4. Which, who knows if there's going to be another one by the time this episode comes out. I don't know. But, well, maybe we should talk about the Stormlight update first. So, Brandon is done with part 1 of Stormlight 4, which is great. It's over 100,000 words long, so great.
He has 5 months to write the last 3/4 of it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking the other day too. If he wants to have a finished draft by January 1st next year, so 2020. He's got a lot of work to do. He's moving fast. He's written 100,000 words in, let's say, 6 months. And he had a tour, and he had a vacation, and he had to revise Skyward in all of that time.
And he's going to revise Stormlight 4 part by part, which is what he did for Oathbringer as well. So then he can get feedback from Moshe and Peter and Karen.
Yeah, it's Moshe and Peter can be working on it while he's still drafting the book.
That way he gets to do draft 3 on January, ideally.
But it's he still has 3 times as much work, at least, because he's also got the revisions to revise.
Yeah.
Or the feedback to incorporate in future revisions. So, unless something amazing happens, I don't think he's going to be done by the beginning of next year, which means we are very, very likely not getting Stormlight 4 in 2020.
Spring 2021 seems very reasonable.
But yeah. So once you say we can't do 2020, then 2021 becomes you open up so much time in 2020 for him to finish that thing. Because he how long do Stormlight books take to go from final draft to print? 3 months?
Final draft? I think that's about right.
Final, yeah, that's...
Yeah, so that's after the line edit read.
If you want to get Stormlight 4 out in 2020, let's say late 2020, November, he usually does releases, he needs to turn that thing in August-ish.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of...
But if you say, hey, we can fire that book in 2021, then he's got all of 2020, so he gains 6 months, 6 additional months to work on stuff.
All of this is assuming that it turns out well, because Oathbringer turned out well. But Brandon, did say, Starsight, I need to take more time on that. And if that happened to a Stormlight book, you'd take a lot longer than revising Starsight.
But I will say, Brandon, he writes faster the closest he is to the end.
Well, that is
the
very
fact
true.
That it took however many months to do the first 100,000 words doesn't mean it's not proportional.
Yeah.
And I've done some math based on the numbers he gave.
Yes, he had a long thing about going through
consistently on the high end of his weekly writing, and it turns out well, then I think he could barely make it.
Oh, great. Brandon posted this as like, I'm optimistic in a 2020 release day. It's like, I don't know about that, Brandon. We don't want Peter to go back to the hospital like Words of Radiance, where he worked so hard he literally needed to go to the hospital.
But it would be if he does it, it's cutting it close. We'll see.
Definitely, yeah.
But I think it definitely takes longer for him to get back into a Stormlight book, because he's been out of it, and he's needed to outline both 4 and 5. And the fact that he said he's pleased with part 1 is really good, because there's a weird time jump from Oathbringer to book 4, and if he's happy with how part 1 turned out, I guess the time jump turned out just fine.
And that sounds like one of the more challenging things to get done in Stormlight 4.
I guess, yeah, I guess.
Because once you get into the action, it's things are happening, but the beginning you have to convey all of this missed action, really.
I don't know, but I guess Brandon likes it. Also, Brandon reiterated that book 4 is going to be more like Way of Kings in style than Words of Radiance and Oathbringer, which makes me very sad, but I guess it's fine to have variety. It'd be hard to have a mega ultra ending like Oathbringer and just like one up it, and then the world exploded, and it's like, okay, all right, we can do something a little different. That's fine.
You can still have explosive endings, but they're probably going to be more character focused explosive endings. And obviously, the end of Oathbringer was very, like, you had a very big Dalinar moment, and you had a pretty big Kaladin moment. But this was all framed in a big, like, world context. Like, the world has now changed. Whereas at the end of The Way of Kings, you had this incredibly powerful Kaladin moment, but on a grand scale that didn't mean all that much.
See, I actually saw that differently. It's not that, like, it's character-based versus world-based. It's like everything happened at once in Oathbringer. Like, every climax, like, was all intertwined with each other. Whereas this, it's going to be much more staggered. It's like the 3 arcs. There's going to be a climax for this arc, then there will be a climax for that arc, and then a climax for the third. So it's like these could be like huge world-shattering events, but they're not necessarily happening right on top of each other.
Yeah.
Okay. And I really like the Way of Kings ending, and chapter 120 of Oathbringer was very long, and I am perfectly happy if Brandon decides not to give something that long to us again.
We gotta breathe. And also one thing that I loved about The Way of Kings that was not quite there in Words of Radiance and Oathbringer was the extent of the world building. Or, I mean, like, the world building was there, but it felt like we saw more places and more people in The Way of Kings than either one of the other books, even though we got a lot of Aesir in Oathbringer. And so I want to go back to this, hey, Roshar is an amazing world, and it's big. Let's take some time and see the world.
I think that has to be the case. I think because Brandon said there's these 3 different arcs, and if their climaxes are going to be staggered, kind of like in Way of Kings, how Shallan's climax was in part 3 and not later in the book. I feel like there has to be some splitting of characters up. So I think we will get that, which is a good point, although I do find Words of Radiance and Oathbringer to be far superior to Way of Kings, but that a lot of people really do like Way of Kings. So
but, I mean, maybe that's just because Way of Kings is very introductory and the same format, but with characters you're already have spent a lot of time with will feel better to you.
I definitely like Way of Kings a lot more on a reread than my initial read, for sure.
Yeah, it's like it might not be like the plot structure that you have an issue with, but this is the first book in the series. He has to focus way more on world building to get people up to speed.
You gotta learn some things.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Stormlight reading. And so there's going to be a timestamp below if you want to skip this, if you are spoiler sensitive. So let's go into it. So this reading is about Liren, a Liren point of view, which is crazy. Sweet. I love Liren.
I do too.
Top 3 Cosmere dad.
Well, I mean, that's not that hard.
Fair.
What, you don't like Praxton, the Lord Mastral? He's my favorite. So, there also going to be a link in the description to read this, which you should totally do. And Alethkor's clearly conquered by the singers. Very much conquered. Rosho not in charge. A singer is in charge. A Brightness Abjan. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of Herdazian refugees pouring into Alethkar, and Liren's healing them.
The reason so we are 1 year into the future, or 1 year after the Everstorm.
Yeah.
Roughly.
1175.
Would the Herdazian general we saw in the Scheller interlude has been causing trouble. He's been leading either a war or a rebellion, depending on how you see that.
Against the singers.
Against the singers. And he's been successful-ish to an extent. He's considered a genius in what he's doing. So maybe the reason he hasn't won is just because like overwhelming odds and the enemy has magic and we don't. But that's why there are refugees coming into presumably Hearthstone. Presumably Liren hasn't left. And
it's definitely Hearthstone.
It's Hearthstone. Yeah.
Oh, does it? Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Among some of the so Liren meets a few of the refugees. He takes care of them, and has a conversation with the brightness of the town, the bright lady, who is a parshwoman.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Not a fuse, but just a regular singer. Doesn't even seem like a regal, because she was
no she's parshwoman.
She was.
Regal. You said okay.
Yeah, regal. Liren actually healed this parshwoman when she was in slave form. So
she was a child.
Yeah, which is really cool. I'm so excited for singer stuff, guys. This is gonna be great.
And the chapter ends with Liren meeting up with.
It's where the reading ends.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair. Liren meets with Laryl, and they have a little bit of a chat, and she tells him where in the line of refugees that Herdazian general is.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to be interesting to see how they interact, because Liren doesn't like the man very much.
No. What? Liren doesn't like people who fight? No way. Crazy. That's so out of character for him.
Yeah. But that's the overview.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very interesting thing. That there's a mention of a plague out west.
It's the cold. It's the common cold.
Probably the common cold.
Maybe, but also there's a line where fragments of old manuscripts, translations of translations of translations, spoke of ancient diseases that killed thousands, spreading quickly and persistently.
Yep.
And I mean, that could obviously be anything, but if you're trying to murder lots of humans, like these could be magically created diseases that murder lots of people or some crap. Like, who knows?
Yeah, but like it's already been mentioned, a plague to the west.
Yeah.
As early as Birds of Radiance, so
They call it a plague specifically.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dalinar says there's a plague in the Pure Lake, or at the Pure Lake.
Mhm.
Right.
And since overall, like, humans on Roshar are healthier elsewhere than humans
Sure.
elsewhere because of all the investiture, they don't have the antibodies that would protect them from the common cold like we
True.
do, or how most humans in the Cosmere.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily know if there's anything other than the plague we already know exists. Which, to be fair, like, it's incredibly dangerous on Roshar, but
That's true. That's much less exciting than what I was hoping. Curse you.
Well, but in a different way, it is really exciting because we are seeing real world repercussions from world hoppers
True.
going
Exactly.
around and meddling in affairs.
Yeah.
and
And,
specifically from an organization that doesn't want
Yeah.
to interfere.
Yep.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's true.
there are other world hoppers that we have seen come to Roshar. Only the 17th Shard has actually caused a huge problem.
Non-interference. Oh well, rip. Good job,
Frost
guys.
is going to be very unhappy with our trio.
Frost the cold.
Hey!
Anything else on this reading, guys, that you noticed?
I'm so excited for Stormlight 4. I want more of this. All right.
No, I know, right? I do
That's
too.
a general reaction.
I'm excited to see more of Laurel.
Yeah, I
Yes.
was about to say just that. Like, Liren is not my personal favorite. I know a lot of people like him, but But like, I really liked Laurel from the little we saw of her of Oathbringer, and I like her in this, and I'm super looking forward to seeing more of her.
Laurel was great in Oathbringer. I really like that change. But I do really want to see what Liren and Kaladin's relationship, how that evolves over time. Like, that's very interesting to me.
It is. Some things I found neat. The Parshmen, the singers learning, like, finding their way in society.
Yeah.
Where they're balancing on one side the fact that this particular batch have grown up in Alethkar and they have many of the Alethi traditions and cultural elements, and then on the other hand they have the Fused telling them this is how you're supposed to be, this is how your ancestors were.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing, so for example, the bright lady of the town, the Parsh woman, has this really interesting duality of she wears a hava and she calls herself a bright lady and they address her as brightness. But on the other hand, the coloration and the color theme of her clothing is very low color, kind of muted, because, and this is one of my favorite world building elements in this, apparently the old singers, maybe as far back as the Dawn Singers, had a tradition of dressing in this muted clothing to accentuate the coloration of their skin patterns, because that's what's really striking and interesting about them. And so she's doing this balancing act.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be seeing probably a lot more of that with Venli and where she was at the end of Oathbringer to tell the singers about her people and their history.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's gonna be a third axis on this, right? Because the listeners have their own culture.
I'm getting really
and then
excited.
the other interesting bit was, to me, when Liren referred to the wisdom of the heralds when they were talking about diseases.
Yes.
He was
that was
probably
well, she was the herald of surgeons, so
yeah. But he was talking with Abijal, and it looked like she believes that plague spren cause, well, diseases and plague, and Liren was schooling her a little bit about sanitation and cleaning and clean water and things like that, which is information that comes to him as wisdom of the heralds. And then he goes on and thinks internally about translations of texts. And so this wisdom of the heralds is apparently like almost like harmonies texts that are being passed down to people and then
in some respects,
written and copied and reinterpreted and retranslated.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I like this kind of world building.
Me too.
Yeah.
Liren's still important, being that healer in the middle of nowhere.
There was one thing that I did not come up with, but I saw people talking about this. A line Liren had that almost echoed the line that he tells the singer woman, "I've never cared whom I heal brightness, slave or king," kind of echoing a line that Moash says in Oathbringer that I am pulling up right now. King or slave, he was an enemy to me and mine. So kind of echoing that, like, I don't care about class, but Liren is the healer, and Moash is, I don't care about class, I'm just going to kill
A
them.
jerk.
Yeah.
Cool. That's neat.
That kind of parallels like Liren's belief that there's only two kinds of people: those that kill people and those that save people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's also talk about these words of Brandon. And we're going to start with the longest one, which was Stuttgart. And we had some heroes at the signing because it couldn't be recorded. Literally do live transcription on paper.
Well, no,
yeah.
I think they had a laptop there.
Oh, okay. But like live transcribing these things. So do note that these ones are paraphrased. We don't have the exact audio. We're not going to get the exact audio. So do keep that in mind. But
they're likely very close to verbatim, but we just can't definitively
there's
mark
like
it as
one
such.
that was like really weird. So we'll talk about it as that comes. So just be aware of that. But we have the most words of Brandon from that because they live transcribed the signing. So heroes.
So MVP.
Yes.
So this is from Sorana, who was one of the heroes. I believe Paleo was another. And
yes, Paleo was.
I think Rhapsody also may have been.
Oh, I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah. Okay, so Sorana asked, would I spike charge if I threw it at someone with the intention to spike something out of him and hit the right bind point? Brandon, yes. Sorana, so spike darts are a thing. Brandon, yes, and spike guns are a thing as well.
Great.
That's terrifying.
See in Shadows of Self.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Kind of.
But
I mean, we kind of see that, but not in the same. Like, Wax doesn't need to steal anything from.
It's already charged.
He just needs to get the metal in there.
Yeah.
He's not aiming for a bind point.
That's a good point.
Well posed question with the intention to spike them. Like, ooh, Cosmere scholar right here. Fantastic.
Very good. Very exciting. Also very terrifying.
Yes.
So next question also comes from Sorana, and it says, is soulcasting volume or mass preserving? And Bren says, it's mass preserving, but there are some strange things going on, and that's why we don't get as much explosions as we should. You can see a bit of what's going on when Yasna soulcasts air. There are some little reactions, but not as strong as you ought to get. And the one time I know she soulcasts air is during the battle of Thalen Field.
Yep.
I think she soulcasts air into oil and then sets it on fire.
Oh, I was gonna say, I would assume this is referring to in Carbronth with Teravangi and then the rock. Because doesn't Shalon feel like air kind of expand outwards afterwards or something?
Well, that's soulcasting something into air, but not soulcasting air itself.
Well, into smoke, actually.
Well, either way, really.
Yeah, so that's also important. But Brandon is, in the second half of the answer, talking about soulcasting air.
Yes.
Specifically. And so, Battle of Thalen Field, and also maybe... Like, I would need to reread the philosophy lesson in Carbronth because on an initial read, it kind of looks like she throws lightning at them when that's obviously, well, not obviously, but that's probably not the case. What's probably happening is she's soulcasting the air between her and the thug. And like that's a channel for her soulcasting or something like that. Yeah. So that might be another thing to look at.
Yeah. There's also the scene with Adolin visiting the camp soulcasters when they're making windbreaks. And he's like,
barracks.
And it's like air rushes towards it. And he's like, well, if there's just something appearing there, I would expect the air to be going the opposite direction.
Yeah, I imagine, I would assume what's happening is the air needs more mass, so you're sucking in air to make
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Which we understand because we are smart people and are educated people.
Assume I am neither smart nor educated, and give me the quick rundown of what you think is happening.
So if you're soul casting like 100-kilogram block of stone, the 100 kilograms of air required to make that stone is much, much larger. So air is going to be rushing in.
Yeah.
So
you need to suck in the air.
But you are turning the block of stone into like you're not.
No. We're talking about the
direction.
We're talking about air into
stone. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But I think when Yasna soulcasted the rock in Kharbranth, there was rushing air out.
I think it blew out.
Yeah, it was smoke in it.
Oh yeah.
It's got many kilograms of smoke, right? That makes sense.
Yep. Because this much mass of smoke would have a larger volume, and so it would rush out.
Yeah.
Cool. Mass preserving. Ish.
Mass preserving asterisk.
Asterisk, yes.
Much like anything in the Cosmere, there is
spiritual mumbo jumbo, the strongest force in the universe.
When Nightblood kills people, why is there a rush of smoke?
There's a black amount remaining. That's smoke, but it's mostly that he absorbs the smoke.
And I mean,
it's black smoke.
Yep.
Some of the strange things might just be Brandon being like, well, this is impossible if I don't make it at least a little bit less extreme. So
yeah, right, exactly. Yep.
Time bubbles, not microwaving people.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. All right. So this next one was said by Rhapsody. You have described et metal as some kind of super cesium. After the reaction with water, is there residual et metal hydroxide, and what are its properties? Brandon. Yes, there is. There's the potential there. They'll find it and use it, but as far as the properties are concerned, you get a RAFO.
And this is
exciting,
referring to cesium exploding, which et metal also does.
It would, when you touch it with water.
Yeah.
When it reacts with water.
Which is a common, it's a defining property of the alkali metals.
Yes, right. Look up YouTube videos if you're not familiar with it. It's very dramatic, let's say.
The heavier, the heavier the alkaline metal is, the more violent the reaction with water is.
And cesium, very violent.
Cesium is not the...
No, it is.
No, I believe francium is the heaviest.
Yeah, I think there was one more. Oh. But what this is getting at is that when you have a reaction between alkaline and water, the product is one of the products of the reaction is a metal hydroxide.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a cool thing to look at.
Yep. Paleo asks, are the Ashenite magic system in which microorganisms cause diseases and bestow powers, and the old magic related? You could sort of see the powers and the disease as a boon and a curse. If so, does the old part come from that? Brandon. Yes, they are related, but the name comes from the magic actually predating Spren bonds.
I like this one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one qualifier here is, I think Brandon is saying old magic predates the hell bonds. I wouldn't say it predates the natural symbiotic.
Oh, yeah.
This is definitely invested art.
Our chuckling makes no sense to anyone except us. But
this is one instance where we are in agreement on.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. The Surge Binders with Nahel Spren. Yep. Yep. That's very interesting, though, because we really don't see lots of that. Obviously, old magic is not really an invested art like our usual magic systems that we see.
This is one place where I wish we had the audio to see how Brandon said, yes, they are related. Because it could be like, yes, they are like related, or he could have been squirreling out of answering something and just
That's
like, oh,
true.
it's in the Cosmere, they're all related.
In the spiritual realm.
I mean, obviously, they're at least thematically related.
Yeah. Could be some
true.
cultivation-y stuff relating the two, honestly.
Yeah,
possible.
I put up a theory on the magics of Roshar month and a half back, and the old magic was very puzzling to me.
Yeah.
Precisely because of this word of Brandon. Because if there is a relationship between the Ashenite disease-based magic system and the old magic, like a significant kind of a relationship between those, it makes the timeline of these things really odd, because the Ashenite magic system being disease-based is a recent-ish, like it wasn't always that way on Ashen.
Yeah.
Which I think also comes from this. No, it doesn't come from this.
No, that was earlier.
That's an old one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you go way back, like pre-humans on Roshar,
right,
you probably don't have disease-based magic on Ashen.
Oh, yeah.
But you probably do have old magic on Roshar. And so humans come in, desolation things happening, the cataclysm on Ashen, presumably the disease-based magic on Ashen develops either around the time of the cataclysm. Well, it has to be around the time of the cataclysm, right? Because that's the magic system that powers the floating cities. So people were either surviving on the ground during the cataclysm, or around the time the cataclysm was happening, the disease-based magic was also happening, and people were able to elevate their cities. And that's how they survived.
I'm just like thinking, if there's a giant cataclysm, you gotta be like, I gotta get the choir of sick people to float the city. It's like, how do you do that in a giant cataclysm? How does it happen? Whatever.
But yeah, so worst case scenario, so I mean, best case scenario, it happens at around the same time.
Yeah.
Which maybe suggests that cultivation was involved in that. Because it can't go the other way, right? Cultivation's old magic could not have been inspired by the diseases.
Right, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, yes.
Yeah. So, like, the question is Ashen's disease-based magic a formal invested art? Or is this more like the AVR, which, like, it's just a natural thing that magic does?
Definitely seems a lot more like the AVR from what we saw.
I'm leaning in that direction too.
Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily need a shard's active presence.
I guess.
I agree.
Because like formal magic systems are very much appear like on
shard worlds with a shard in residence. Yeah, right. Who invested. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But as we know, all investiture is key to one of the shards. So it's like it could be that Ashen does have a large amount of cultivation's investiture. Which is why it's sort of cultivation-esque.
Okay.
To be honest, it's even hard to know before that cataclysm, before that exodus, how much of honor cultivation or odium stuff was even there. Like, it's so hard to say.
Oh, yeah.
There were surges, I guess. Sure. Great. That's really helpful.
Yeah, that's really odd, because we often think of shards as, because shards invest in a world.
Yeah.
We often think of those shards as being bound to that world, and in many ways there are, but that doesn't mean that they're it doesn't mean that there aren't large chunks of their investiture throughout the Cosmere, as seen, for
Mhm.
example, in Pudgy.
Well, yeah, absolutely, yeah, clearly.
Mhm.
So there could be like a creature of the size of the Night Watcher on Ashen pre-Cataclysm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like that's definitely a thing that a shard like cultivation could plop there, right? It's totally a thing.
Especially since it's right next door.
I imagine that has to be easier then.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just whatever restrictions there are on movement is less extreme.
Or even if she didn't plop it there, like it would have been easier for her to discover the presence of such investiture closer to
Mhm.
her.
Right.
Kind
That
of
was
core of power.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, Odium is obviously weird and we don't know all that's going on, but it does seem like within the Rosharan system there are maybe less restrictions about Shardics doing stuff on other planets.
Says that word of
Possibly.
Brandon. Oh, he's on Braze. Oh, now he's on Roshar. Like, what does that actually mean? How accurate was him being on Braze? Really hard to say.
Yeah.
It's kind of like something within an arm's reach. That's like you might be on a planet, you might be in a chair, but like you can still reach a certain distance around you fairly easily,
Sure.
and then you could stretch a little bit more and get to other stuff.
Yeah.
Except I'm thinking, and this is probably not a very good example, but it's one worth bringing up. The Eyrie appeared to have been relatively safe from Ruin. Like, they were worried about Ruin,
Mhm.
but they were also comfortable setting up pretty close to the Scadrian Subastral. And then when Kelsier left the planet and kind of entered the interplanetary cognitive space, Ruin did not follow him. Like, the edge of the planet was seemingly the extent of his ability to move around.
But there might be more restrictions because he
Yeah.
created the planet with
Yeah.
preservation.
Also,
As being said.
And also, I think the Eyrie kind of do dumb stuff sometimes, and I don't know if I
Yeah.
trust their judgment.
Yeah, I think part of their defense was they were too unimportant for Ruin to care and be looking for them.
There's
Well,
also
okay.
the fact that like when Ruin acts, preservation is automatically like pushing back on him, and so Ruin was spending the majority of his effort on Scadrial and the destruction of that planet.
Yeah.
And
His priority was taken out preservation.
Well,
But like the moment like the Eyrie thought Ruin had noticed their attention, they started freaking out.
yeah, they super started freaking out.
Yeah. But what I'm thinking more, I guess, is how he followed Kelsier all the way to the edge and then went away. And then the moment Kelsier came back, Ruin's presence returned.
So was that dividing line specifically Scadrial or the Scadrian system? Because if I remember a word of Brandon saying like he was pretty close to going like light years in a single step, which is like the edge of this.
I do not remember such word of Brandon.
I don't know. But I do find the whole old magic thing to be just very strange because it's not really a magic.
No.
It's just like a shard screwing people
Doing things.
around. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
The thing we've been calling direct shardic intervention.
yeah, right.
I did find one, and it's a really long one, so I'm not going to read it out.
Great.
But he has entered the space between planets, but he's not out of the solar system. But it's fuzzy.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be too much longer before he enters another solar system. Like he would pass light years and steps as he starts getting further, if that makes any sense.
Huh, that's interesting.
Cognitive realm. It's cool.
Yeah, I guess that really, like, this phrase light years in steps really puts into perspective how the cognitive space shrinks.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nothing there. Like plop plop. Hey, cool.
So it's just,
Wow,
and I think Ruin's preservation, Ruin's point of view was very much focused on, he didn't want to waste the time like looking off world. Like he's like, okay, I'm going to know as soon as this guy gets back. he can do what he wants. I know he's not going to get far.
Like Ruin probably just realized, yeah, he just can't leave. I know this to be true. I literally don't need to care.
Yeah. He probably could have followed Kelsier, but it would have limited his activities on Scadrial.
You need to balance a lot of stuff when you're
I'm skeptical, but I see where you're coming from.
Let's move on to one very near and dear to my heart and Ian.
This is also very near and dear to my heart.
I know, it's to both of our hearts. This next one.
Yes. So this is a theory I've long held since initial reads of Oathbringer.
Well, even further back, right? Anyway, we'll read it.
It was Oathbringer.
Oh, really?
That really solidified stuff for me.
You had this idea of wisdom for this shard for a long time, in my recollection.
Why don't you guys read the wob?
Yeah.
Paleo asks, is wisdom a shard? If so, how bad does it want to survive?
These three who transcribe things, they're asking such the good questions.
Hard
it's
hitters.
So Brandon answers, there is a shard with a similar intent. Brandon using, well, I guess this is paraphrased, so we can't say, oh, Brandon's using intent without being prompted.
He does now, but that's still not the formal term for a shard's name.
But it's enough to say, don't create another word fandom.
Indeed.
The shard has realized that survival might not be the most desirable / important. And there's a footnote saying Paleo later asked for more clarification. And Brandon stressed again that what the shard has realized.
So for background, in one of the books that I got Brandon to sign long ago, Brandon wrote that there's a shard who just wants to survive, which I termed as the survival shard. That is not the shard's intent. Definitely not. Don't make me cry when you do that.
We've had issues.
Major issues. And Kelsier is not its vessel. All right, let's just get that out of the way.
Not yet.
And Ian, you often thought that wisdom was the name of that shard's intent because it was wise to get the crap out of the conflict with Odium and stuff.
We also had a wob similar to that, saying that this shard knows what Odium is up to and doesn't want none of that. I don't remember if that is also the shard that is in like interplanetary space.
Yeah, that we don't know.
Because there was somebody explicitly asked, hey, we know there's a shard that wants to hide and survive, and we know there's a shard not bound to any world. Are they the same shard?
Brandon's like, well, they don't need to be the same shard.
Yeah, I don't think that led to anywhere.
So the thing that I was trying to think of was the shard's intent is like tangentially relating to survive, which wisdom's a good thing, and I can only assume that this word of Brandon is referring to that same shard. Like Brandon mentioned survival.
Yep.
Like, right.
And my read on his mention of that is over the course of as the Cosmere saga develops, what this shard is up to and the way this shard thinks about events has gone from I don't want none of that to hey, I think Odium might be a problem.
Yeah, it's like if I just hide until Odium has taken out everyone else,
I have no help.
Eventually he's going to find me, and I won't have any allies.
Yeah.
So that's not going to be somebody who goes and like finds Odium and tries to pummel him to the ground. But I think we can expect this shard to write some Cosmere letters to their buddies and be like, "Hey, let's talk."
That does give me. I kind of want the letter in Book 4, Stormlight 4, to be from this shard.
Yeah,
because this is the perfect point for Brandon to be like, "Oh, this shard's views are changing," because that's what he's writing now.
So are you guys interpreting this as this was originally the shard he was referring to that wanted to survive?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be.
That's not how I was interpreting that.
How are you interpreting it, Grace?
I was interpreting that as this shard may have started out wanting to survive, but like the way that previous question of there is a shard that just wants to hide and survive kind of made me think that was a separate thing.
Yeah, but people ask Brandon about this shard a lot. Surely Brandon knows what people mean when they're asking. He's like, shard survive? I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. I know
how
what you guys
does
are talking
this shard feel about survival?
Or how would this intent feel about survival?
See, I interpret that the like realize that survival might not be the most desirable as him saying this is not the survival shard that you guys are thinking of.
See, I thought it was more that like the shard you're thinking of, like their opinion has evolved over time.
That's what I feel. I think that's possible, Grace, but I mean, I don't know of any other shard that wanted to survive and that Brandon would refer to as realizing something different, right?
I mean, wording is going to be very important in this one.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think the three of us, the not you part of the podcast, Grace, are coming from realization implying change. And so if Brandon is saying the shard has realized that survival might not be the most desirable or important, then there was a point in the past where that is exactly what the shard thought was desirable / important. But if that phrasing is just a little bit different, then
yeah,
you end up with
a shard with a similar intent of wisdom.
So it could be like prudence.
I mean,
I do like that.
We've talked on the podcast about ingenuity, but that is distinct, I think, from this idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think ingenuity fits with this.
Correct. I agree.
Cool. Fun wob.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paleo.
Thanks.
Next question continues. Paleo, have Roshar mathematics advanced far enough to know Julia sets? And Julia set is the mathematical equation that describes the shape of Roshar.
Yes.
Yes, they know Julia sets. Some of the mathematics are farther along in this time than ours. Some are behind. Kind of like abstractionism is a century-old style on Roshar. Calculus was discovered way earlier.
I know what planet I'm going to. Yeah.
The one that gets pummeled by superstorms every few days.
The one where I have a job to teach people calculus.
The one that is currently
being
being
storm
invaded.
warden.
Look, I will immediately cave to Odium. That's fine. That's not a problem.
It's not a hard sell.
No, it really isn't.
All right.
Cool.
Okay.
This next one was asked by Winds a Light. In essay, the Storm Father refers to several people as Child of Honor, but only Kaladin as Child of Tanavast. Is there significance to that, Brandon? Yes, there is.
I hate everything about this.
Oh, no.
I can understand why there would be a distinction. I don't know what the significance is.
Yeah.
I don't know what this could refer to. I mean,
I'm trying to wonder if there's some thing to do with like Kaladin as a Windrunner, and the Windrunners had like special significance to Tanavast or something.
Yeah, and that's why their glyphs explode with power easy.
They're the order closest to honor, or one of the orders closest to honor.
Right? Yeah, not the bondsmiths.
Screw the bondsmiths.
Yeah, right.
There's actually a very extensive thread on the 17th Shard where people discuss that. And there are many different ideas, and I just don't know how. Like, this could be as insignificant as when the question says, "Is there significance to that?" and Brandon confirming. What does Brandon consider significant in this? Like, he could be just simply saying, "Yeah, there's a reason I'm doing that," but that doesn't necessarily mean that there is as much significance in there as we kind of assume or want to assume that there is.
like it. Yeah, I'm reading this more as like, hey, yes, there is a reason I did it that way. It wasn't just I just like, oh, I use Child of Honor a lot. I'm just going to refer to Tandem as like it's not.
Why?
It's not like, oh, I've used the word blah 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 3 times in this paragraph. I'm going to change one of them or 2 of them.
Also, didn't the Stormfather, like when Kaladin was strung up in the Way of Kings, didn't he also refer, like, didn't he say both to refer to Kaladin?
So,
Child of Tanavast,
I believe so.
Child of Honor.
Yeah, I think it. I remember him being referred to as Child of Honor, Child of Tanavast.
and so, like, I'm interested to know what the significance is, but I just have no idea.
I have no idea. Yeah.
There are many directions we can speculate in, and I
Yeah.
don't think there is support for any of the, or more support for one of them than the others. So it's just kind of shots in the dark everywhere.
It's an interesting thing to think about, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I want to point something out though. So if Kaladin is the child of Tanavast and Syl was the child of the like Stormfather before he merged with the Cognitive Shadows, then are they basically Cal and Syl like siblings or step siblings now?
Yeah, that's why Syl always wants to get Kaladin to
Yeah, she's
He
just
was
looking out.
Human Girl. Yeah, the swingman.
Or would Kaladin
Windman.
be her uncle? Because Honor would be the Stormfather's father.
Well,
Familial relationships are complicated.
Let's go
Well,
to the
in-
next. Should we go
in
to
any
the
case, they are officially related now.
Yes.
Let's
So no
let's go
shipping.
let's go to the next one, Brandon. Hey. So Paleo asked, will the Warbreaker Leatherbound contain the Nalthus essay? Isaac, no. But the Arcanum Unbounded Leatherbound will contain it. That makes
Wah,
sense,
wah,
but
wah.
I'm sad.
Yeah. It's I never wanted the Nalthus essay in the Warbreaker Leatherbound. I wanted
I
it
did.
released concurrently.
Oh,
as
okay.
hype.
All right.
Well,
yeah.
When did
there
Arcanum
is-
Unbounded come out? 2016?
2016, yeah.
there is another wob later in the doc about Arcanum Unbounded 2. So if that comes out before the Leatherbound, maybe we'll get it there.
But has
like
he
a-
done any like short stories since?
No.
Look. Oh,
He wants to do 3.
we forgot to mention that Brandon wants to do a rock novella, which apparently has to happen between book 3 and 4. And Brandon's like, oh, I'm hopeful that I'll get the Risen one also done this year. Okay, Brandon.
And what was the third one he
the
wanted to
third
do?
one was a Lopen one between books
Oh,
1 and
yeah.
2.
Yeah,
It's the King Lopen, the first king of Alethkar.
But that's not the third one he's planning on doing this year. That's the Sixth of the Dusk sequel.
Oh, right.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
know if the Six of the Dust sequel would be done this year. I think that's just going to be a thing that he's going to work on when he has time.
I was
that's
under
his
the impression
airplane
that
book.
that was what he was doing on the flights in
Well,
July.
that was, but he got
and
2
October.
scenes through it and was like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to have time to it until I have another long flight.
Yeah,
So
but
it-
he said he was having more long flights in July and October.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
If he gets it done, then maybe.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I will say I did the math on him completing Stormlight by the end of the year. Does not include those
Those
3 novellas.
seems a little optimistic. But yeah, I mean, Brandon will always write some extra projects, so they'll probably be in
Yeah.
Arcanum about it too.
I would love to get a Cosmere piece this year.
Oh, that's true.
White Sand Volume 3. September.
I would
in-
love
on,
to get a
Amazon.
Cosmere piece this year.
Whoa. Wow.
Zykai asks, did the Shin use honor blades in their invasions? If yes, did they also use surges? Brandon, yes and yes.
Great.
That is
Lovely.
scary.
Yes.
I want to see these Shin invasions so much.
Look, you know when Brandon's like, Tezim, let's just name drop him in book 1. That was important. The shit invasions, that could definitely be a thing that matters. Or it did matter.
In a way, like even if there was nothing magical going on outside of the Underblades, like even if there was no herald or nothing of that sort,
Yeah.
that was still an invasion comparable to the Sunmakers.
Yeah.
And the Sunmakers' conquest shaped Rosharan countries and history and society for the past however many hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. And it's just like, oh yeah, remember when the Shin invaded? Good times.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I want to know more. Very
I wanna know
tantalizing,
more.
but
Yes.
we don't know more.
We don't.
We know they used surges and horses in their warfare, and that's pretty much it.
That sounds pretty scary to Rosharans.
Yeah, no,
like,
to most
Yeah.
of Roshar, that would be terrifying.
it's like, hey, I'm gonna use my shards, and then just like they could use surges. It's like, oh, I don't know how to fight against these. That didn't turn out super well.
and even like the mundane stuff. Most Rosharans don't know how to fight against cavalry. They
Yeah,
just
exactly.
don't have that experience.
Yeah, cavalry's a massive tactical advantage if you don't know it's coming.
And you
Oh.
combine that with not only shard blades, but also magic. Who stopped them? Why did they stop?
Hey,
Because
Brandon,
they
what
never-
about a Shin invasion novella?
Because Argent, they stopped because they never just stopped to look around and go, "This is enough."
Hey.
Well, since I just watched Forrest Gump last
Uh-huh.
night,
Uh-huh.
there's the part towards the end where he just like runs for like 3 years and then just like, I'm done running now. I'll go home. That's what happened. It's like they were like, we're bored. We're just gonna go home.
I mean, it could be as simple as internal strife that, like,
Yeah.
some Shin were like, I'm not okay with this anymore. We need to go back. Like, that's kind of my theory, but
I draw the line at 2 million murders. 3's too much.
Or it's like, we can't get off our horses, otherwise we'd walk on stone. So how do we rule all of this stone?
I think that would have become a problem on day one.
People can stay at the saddle for a very long time.
with the power of the surges.
Uncomfortably, but
Heal their behinds. from
yeah.
all the saddle sores.
Well, at least the Shoebreth son Mashalin, who is presumably one of the Shin people, list says overstretching resources, leading quickly
Aha!
to the collapse of the empire.
What? That's never happened in human
So
society.
he just
with
probably
giant
just
empires.
extended their reach too far and tried to rule more than they could actually control at once.
That's never happened before in history.
Bureaucracy has brought down more empires than weapons. All right, let's do an anonymous question.
Okay.
Ambition wasn't splintered in the contest with Odium. Is there a reason why he hadn't chosen another avatar yet? Yes.
So this is the
Brandon.
one that I feel was mistranscribed. I feel like it needs to be champion, right? Then avatar.
So I
Vessel.
Or
think
vessel.
we asked Paleo about it, and
Yeah.
he said that the questioner said avatar.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, Paleo was also confused by the.
Okay.
word
Great.
there.
Cool.
Yeah, it seems more likely that the person just didn't know the proper terminology
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
was
yeah.
mistranscribed.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Which, since their ambition was also a she, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This
vessel,
question
the
isn't
short-
even historically accurate.
Yeah. And ambition was eventually killed by Odium. So
Well, I think this person is saying the vessel was killed, but the power wasn't splintered. So why haven't they chosen another vessel? I think is what the question's getting at.
yes.
That's my read. Yeah.
But I do think it was splintered.
I
don't
think
think
that as well. It was just
I don't
splintered
think
later.
Odium
I
would
think.
have left it unsplintered.
No, that's the entire point of what Odium's doing. Like, it just wasn't splintered
Well-
on the Threnodite system.
Cool. So the Threnodite system essay does, in fact, say that Odium clashed with and mortally wounded the Shard Ambition here. Ambition would later be splintered.
Okay.
Though the final act took place in a different location.
On backs. Easy.
It's interesting now that I think about it. Brendan says, or Chris says, the final act, which, I mean, obviously we overanalyze things in this fandom.
What? No, we overanalyze things in this podcast, especially.
Well, sure. But it's interesting that she calls them that. So it's not like Odium wounded Ambition and then Ambition ran away and eventually just kind of bled out.
Mm-hmm.
Act to me implies agency.
I think Odium followed Ambition.
Oh, Odium followed and coup de grace.
Sure. Let's
This questioner asked, how is Ashen Earth-like given its orbit? It should be even less habitable than Roshar. Brandon said, the Rosharan system was manufactured for a specific purpose. The position of the moons isn't stable, and even the continent itself might eventually vanish.
So his answer is less about Ashen here.
Yes, but we knew before that, like, stuff in this system, like, it was done artificially. Like, someone made the system.
Yep.
But, like, it was manufactured for a specific purpose.
Yeah.
What purpose is that?
What does that mean? Yeah,
is this like so? Adenalsium could have a world for his weird crab people.
Yeah, that was his specific purpose.
But that doesn't necessarily explain creating Ashen and Rays and the 10 gas giants and the moons.
Yeah, because it's the entire system.
Yeah.
Because I think previously we had kind of assumed that Adenalsium had just created the system as like a playground. Maybe he was just messing around. But this gives it a lot more direction.
When all the planets line up, the singularity happens and opens a pathway to Vax. Yeah.
Easy
line in.
Maybe it's like a giant clock.
I would assume that Adenalsium would have at least as good future sight as the shards, probably better.
At least.
Probably, like, you take all the shards and combine them, and then Adenalsium is better than that at seeing into the future.
This could suggest some weird stuff where, like, we learn of some
Adenalsium
purpose in, like, Stormlight 9 and 10, which is crazy.
Yes, so,
the anti-Adenalsium.
From the second letter, Frost says, is not the destruction we have wrought enough. The worlds you now tread bear the touch and design of Adenalsium. Our interference so far has brought nothing but pain. And I think that's referring to the Rosharan's system in particular. Because it's like but Frost knows that Hoid is on Roshar.
Yeah. That's interesting because that makes it feel like it's their fault that Adenalsium's design is on the Rosharan system, right?
No, that like you're screwing up what Adenalsium did there.
Yeah.
Sort of. But like it's specifically like this was designed by Adenalsium for something.
Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy thinking about that.
I think there's a very distinct difference between the letter, which says there is a design to this, and this word of Brandon, which says there is a design with purpose.
It's not just designed with specific purpose. And you know what? If there was 9 gas giants, it just wouldn't work. You need all 10, I guess.
Apparently.
In some ways, this doesn't surprise me, because I've always thought that Adenalsium kind of knew more and had more planned out than characters seem to think. But
I guess.
Well, the issue is the shattering happened.
Yeah.
Was that part of Adenalsium's plan? Or did they exploit like some flaw in his future sight?
I have always assumed, and this is a standard thing in fiction, that you can't see the future past your own death.
Sure.
And so if Adenalsium was similarly bound, then he maybe wouldn't know about the like, if that is the case, then the Rosharan system was probably not designed to contain Odium.
I don't know if I agree with that, because how were the Terrace prophecies created?
Yeah, it's...
Yeah,
and I think, hey, I can't see past next Tuesday. I wonder what's up with that. It's like, I And also, I don't know how common that is in fiction.
That's kind of a thing.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean anything about the Cosmere in particular, of course.
I think with the terrorist prophecies, it's kind like they can take you close to the hero of ages, but I don't know if the prophecies are necessarily saying that a hero 100% will come. Like they are. Let's not deal with that.
There is Elend uses supercharged atium and sees like the ultimate fate of everything, and then immediately dies.
He sees preservation's plan and his place in it.
Yeah,
I saw that. Like he then saw like, hey, we've won. Like this is how it all ends.
Yeah, which
by definition would be after he died.
Yeah, right. Well, so that word, Brandon, is crazy.
Yeah.
For something a little lighter and not controversial, Shallan and her personas. Hey, cool. The questioner asks something about Shallan's personalities, and Brandon just says, at the end of Oathbringer, she works really hard to suppress her other personas, and she will be a lot more stable. So I would assume in the time jump that she's much more stable when we see her again.
Yeah. We might see more of the whole, hey, Vale goes and drinks with Adolin, and Radiant does training with Adolin, but it's a very controlled.
Maybe, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to say.
So this questioner asks, do specific colors have an impact on awakening in Warbreaker? Brandon, not usually. You just need a certain amount to awaken. But there can be more due to various reasons connected to the Cosmere. It is connected to the significance of eye color on Roshar.
Great. That's great.
I wish that said the significance of gem color on Roshar, because that would make more sense to me.
Why not? Sure.
What if they're
related
the same?
to the eye color? Confirmed. Easy.
I mean, that's not totally inaccurate because
Yeah.
radiant eye color.
Yeah, that's true. It's true, though. You're not wrong.
There are color is important in the Cosmere in some weird way. We don't know anything about it. I give up. I can't think about
Me too. Yeah, I can't either.
The next couple of questions actually deal with the Ghost Bloods, and the first one says, have we seen the Ghost Bloods in action outside of the Rosharan system? And Brandon says, you have seen proto Ghost Bloods, but not after their actual initiation.
Okay.
Which is interesting. And then the questioner continues with, have we seen proto Ghost Bloods? Oh, I guess that may be a different questioner.
Yeah, it could be a different questioner, yeah.
Where have we seen proto Ghost Bloods? Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian says, Raffle, but you guys are pretty close to figuring that out.
Are we?
So I will confess that when I first read this, I thought we had seen like the group that would eventually become the Ghost Bloods. But I think this is actually literal members of the Ghost Bloods before they are members of the Ghost Bloods.
Yeah, I think initiation suggests that it's the same organizations. They are the same organization. They're just not
part of it.
Kind of like
the Mo. Like Mo is a member of the 17th Shard, but not in Era 1.
Right, right, sure. I was like, what?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I got what you meant. And just like how we would have seen Vale, but like before she got her sweet tattoo, right? Where she was actually inducted.
Sure.
But we've seen that on other worlds, and are we pretty close to figuring that out? I don't know. Are we, though?
Well, I'm trying to think back to what Ghost Bloods questions people have asked Brandon to see like what he would know that we were thinking. The only thing I can come back to is like people ask him about Kelsier and the Ghost Bloods.
Yep.
Oh, that's true. Oh, God.
That's a really common question.
That's a really common question. Yeah. Marsh joins the Ghost Bloods. Confirmed. Easy. I don't know. Maybe someone related to Kelsier. Like Kelsier maybe hasn't infiltrated the Ghost Bloods. He had to step down. Sure, why not? Maybe he like joined a world hopping organization.
I don't know.
I don't know.
All right. Rhapsody again asked, will the Threnody book take place in the homeland? Brandon.
Yeah.
The book is tentatively called The Dust Brigade.
Title reveal!
Tentative title reveal. A group wants to free the homeland of the evil. It doesn't go well for them. Opening scene is all ships sinking and people washing up on shore.
Yes, because
Tentative
taking
title
on
reveal.
an eldritch horror is always a good idea.
Always.
I mean, Dalinar did it.
That's true.
And Shalon.
Angela.
I feel like the evil is in a bigger weight class than the unmade.
I don't know if that's true. Maybe, though. But, I want the Threnody novel, guys. I really want that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be so cool. This gets me pumped. So Krios asks, if you have a form of manipulating your identity and a form of healing, are you able to shapeshift or even evolve your body like growing wings? Brandon, you'd have to do some real work on your spirit reb to make that work. It'd take more work than you're implying, but the Parshendi, for instance, are doing this. It'll take a little more work. It's not just blanking your identity. Hemalurgy would make it very easy, but also very evil. But what you want to achieve is possible.
I would just like to point out that Brandon is continuing his slanderous campaign against hemalurgy. It is not evil.
I
It is
agree.
simply power.
As the Lord Ruler of the forums, I agree that hemalurgy, that no one has ever done hemalurgy improperly, ever. It's great. It's my favorite.
I'm not denying it can be used for evil. But
It's
so
difficult
can a
not to.
sword.
Nightblood did nothing wrong. Ever.
Terrible.
So it's kind of interesting getting some mechanics on how the Parshendi, like, have their physical change a bit. That's kind of cool.
I think this is a real fascinating WoW. I love it a lot. To me, what this is saying or suggesting or working as evidence to confirm a theory is that when the Parshendi, when the singers go out in the high storm and they merge with the Spren, regardless of what kind of Spren it is, the way this works aromatically is that the Spren changes the spirit web of the singer during the act of the bonding.
Mhm.
And though it is those changes that propagate to the physical realm, well, to the cognitive and the physical realms, to make the singer think differently and look differently.
I don't know if I had ever really thought that much into it, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then there's a questioner asking about that Arcanum Unbounded 2, and Brandon says, yeah, there's going to be more. He needs more short stories for that. And then talks about Risen. But later on Reddit, he talked about Rock, and that one being really important to do rather than the Risen one. So, neat.
And so then our next questioner asks, now that Hoyt has bonded his friend, is he locked on Roshar? Brandon, yes, that is a problem. Something will happen that is relevant. Raffo.
That's interesting, right?
Yes.
I'd say Hoyd himself isn't, but I would say that he is going to need to figure out a way to bring his friend with.
Yeah. Which, of anyone, I think Hoyd has the best shot at it.
Well, obviously.
I mean, hasn't Brandon implied that it's like that's possible, but just hard to do, right?
Well, it's like they have to know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Like it's very much like once you know how to do it, yeah, it's easy. Or easy.
And I
like,
think one of the things you can do is you can be off world and you can try to summon your Spren as Shardblade, and it just takes like 4 years for it to arrive.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't think it's any different than Vasher world hopping. Yeah. So it's like Vasher can do it, a Spren can do it.
Right, yeah. Sure.
And I think it was at least somewhat common for Else Callers to world hop before the Recreants.
They could have.
Like, we know they did.
Do we know
because of the... Yeah, we do.
World
we have
hop?
World hopping was once much more common, and that has to do with one of the things is about that, basically.
Yeah, okay, right. Makes sense.
I think the something will happen that is relevant is the most interesting part of this.
Yeah, what's up with that? I mean, that could just be the discovery of our humans on Roshar discovering this ability, and then we can just go to Ashen or Braze whenever we want.
Or something finds Hoyd before he's ready to get off world.
Oh, and he
And
can't leave,
so-
and something
And he
really
can't leave yet.
like a fused finds him or something, and it doesn't go super great. Maybe.
Mhm.
Hey, if you guys forgot, Hoyd danced with one of the fused thousands of years ago before she was a fused, and that's just casually mentioned in the Oathbringer epilogue. How cool is that?
Yeah.
It's like, she didn't notice me now, but I remember who she is. It's like, haha, not trained well enough to find me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Or I'm just imagining a scene like the 17th shard, those three catch up to Hoyd and they're like, we're taking you in. And he's just like, stuck here. Sorry about that.
That's pretty great.
That's funny. That's cool. Keeping up with Hoyd.
Perfect.
That's
All
the show
planned.
that I want.
It was all planned. Those 2
Um,
questions for that synergy.
We did not delete any questions in between.
No, not at all.
What happened to Hoyd after he met Kelsier at the well? He went to figure out feruchemy. When Vin found him beaten up, it was because he got more involved than he should have.
That's incredible.
Which-
So a long time ago, Brandon mentioned that like he had an idea for a Hoyd parallel novel
Yes.
that would talk about what Hoyd was up to through like all of this stuff. I'm like, I want that. I wanna know
Mistborn
what
secret or
happened.
history. Secret harder.
That's interesting. So first, I don't think we knew that he was beaten up. Like I think we.
No.
I'm trying to remember whether he was bandaged.
I think so, maybe.
Honestly, don't recall because it's been so long since I've read Well of Ascension and all of Hero of Ages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he also has like 3 lines in that book. So, but I absolutely imagine him just going to Terrace and trying
Elders
to
and-
figure out feruchemy, and then
and-
just beat him up to a pulp.
I mean, it's very easy for fair chemists to beat someone up. All you have to do is tap strength. Very easy.
So it's
Yeah.
when Vin found him. That's Hero of Ages.
yeah.
That's
Like right at
after-
the end.
After he leaves Terrace,
Yeah.
that's true,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, right.
because he leads like the refugee group of Terrace
Right.
people
Yes.
and meets up with.
And that was Sazed who met him there, right, with the refugees.
No,
yeah,
it
it was.
Lend.
Yeah, it was.
No, it was Lend.
Was
Sure.
it Vin? Was it Caesar or was it Holland? I don't know.
Sure.
When
It
he was
a
found.
Lend in, it was a Lend in Well of Ascension.
Okay, sure. I mean that I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I think it was Sazed in Hero of Ages then, wasn't it?
No, it was Vin.
What was Ellen doing out there? Just
He was on his way back to Luthadel. Vin had like already like done the
Descended.
whole horseshoe like flying through the air thing, which Lend can't do.
sure, sure.
Huh. Wow, we do not remember those last 2 books very well.
No, just highlights.
Yeah. That's all of Stuttgart. Now we get a lot less from the other few signings because we don't have Gods Amongst Mere Mortals live transcribing the signing line, which is totally fine.
All right, this one was asked by Cultivation's Champ. I wonder whether Yasna has been to the cognitive realm of planets other than Roshar. Brandon responded, She is not. She is not horribly Cosmere aware as of the end of Oathbringer. She is starting to get inaudible. Give her some time, and you might be impressed with how quickly she can come up to speed.
I imagine she would.
I don't
So-
think I would be impressed at all.
So what? You wouldn't be impressed?
It's just
No, I
expected
would-
to Evgeni.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what I'm getting from this is that Yasna back 5. Very Cosmere aware, up to speed.
Oh, because she was talked about as being book 10. Oh. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool to think about. Holy crap. Evgeni's just like, yes, give me that.
Give me that Yasna back 5A.
And this is it at the bond signing. Great. This next one is by our friend on Discord, Excelsius. Has a shard ever been forced, besides Odium in Roshar, to leave their planet after it was destroyed? Brandon, yes. Excelsius, yes. Besides Odium? Brandon, besides Odium, yes. Has a shard been forced to leave their planet after the planet was destroyed? Yes. Oh, that's exciting.
I disagree with some of the premise here because I still don't believe Odium was on Ashen. But I like the result of this question.
And Ashen wasn't destroyed, it still exists.
I think that's an irrelevant disagreement. Like, Brandon's words hold true regardless of what you think of the promise.
But a shard was forced to leave the planet.
Yes, like I'm definitely saying, like, this is a very interesting answer. Like, I just disagree with how the question was phrased.
Excelsius, feel free to ping Ian in Shardcast channel to talk about it. Oh, that's cool though. Maybe Vax was destroyed. That's entirely possible.
It is. Huh.
I'm trying to think of the shards we know. Did all of them go straight, besides Odium, of course, go straight to their current planets?
We literally have no idea.
Yeah, I was
no idea.
I was trying to enumerate over all of them as well. And maybe Ambition could fit this?
Maybe.
The Returned only started appearing fairly recently.
Yeah,
right?
I was just about to say that it is a very common theory that Endowment is somewhat newly arrived.
That's right. You're right. Oh, that's my headcanon now. I like that. I like that a lot.
Although Nauthis is also... Well, it's not that early in the timeline.
No,
No.
it's not. Oh,
In the grand scheme of things, it's like stuff started happening there fairly late.
Yeah, Awakening was mainly discovered after the first Returned, and then the Five Scholars, really.
Which is all told less than 800
Absolutely.
years, conservatively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe closer to 500. We don't know.
That's my headcanon now that this is Endowment, because it can't be Ambition, because Ambition's planet wasn't destroyed. Ambition was just killed. And like, I feel like Ambition was like the first, so I feel like the first that Odium killed. Right?
That is true. Or the first he went after.
That he fought.
Yeah.
Yes. I think Devotion and Dominion were splintered first because he couldn't find Ambition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Regardless, I feel like Ambition went to the Threnodite system in short order, let's say.
Or at least they went through the Threnodite system, because I don't know if they started off there during the fight.
This gets very difficult with early Shardak history after the shattering, like, what did they do? Well, we know they went to these planets eventually, but who knows what sort of shenanigans they got up to the first few centuries. Presumably a lot.
We also don't know, like, anything about Nauthian history.
No.
Before the return.
Before the Chedish
before
came
Vo.
Or even outside of that one little area of land.
Yeah. That's a landlocked sea. What about other continents? No,
I'm hoping we get like a full map of that area in the Leatherbound with like the different countries. Because we don't even really know what that geography
idea.
Halandrin and Idris looks like, what the countries are there.
Yeah, we'll probably get something like the Elantrian anniversary map, I'd say.
Nice.
Not the entire world, but just like a wider region.
Oh, that's my headcanon now, Ian. That Endowment had to leave her previous planet. I like that a lot.
It would explain why she's very like firm on this. Like, we do not deal with other shards' planets. Like,
that's true.
Do not question me and my actions on my planets. Ignore the fact that I destroyed my last one.
I was trying to decide whether it was somehow possible for Honor and Cultivation to have gone to Ashen first, and then after the Cataclysm, move to Roshar. But I don't think that makes any sense.
I was gonna say Endowment seems kind of like the type where if something happened, where, for example, Autonomy tried to make an avatar on her first planet, she would just go, nope, like I will self-destruct this whole thing before I let you mess with my stuff.
Yeah, that's possible.
I'll destroy the toys before I share them with you.
Well,
Like,
no,
you're trying
I
to-
disagree. I disagree. I think Endowment would have gone. You will be dealt with.
Yeah.
But I mean, her definition of dealt with, we don't know. It could be,
What is
I will
dealt
do
with?
whatever it takes, whatever collateral damage is required.
So, like, if the avatar is like closely tied to the planet, what better way to destroy the avatar than to destroy the planet?
She's a shard.
Yes, she is.
Like, I would be immensely surprised if she can't deal with some splinter in an elegant way.
There's lots of questions that this brings up, but I like this a lot.
So this questioner asks, could the investiture of two shards with separate vessels create their own perpendicularity together? Brandon, two different, so like the vessels of two different shards, okay. Questioner, yeah, not harmony. Brendan, yeah, that is plausible. There could be a mixed perpendicularity.
That's so weird.
So when two shards love each other very much,
Yeah.
Before Honor died, Honor and Cultivation just had one perpendicularity.
And they penetrated the three realms. I feel like we know who this is from because
Do we?
somebody asked this question on my behalf.
Oh.
And I
Well.
forgot who that was.
Great. I mean, we do know that shards kind of sort of can choose where their perpendicularity goes. Like they have some control over it.
Well,
Some control over it, yes.
Not like-
the intent behind the question was, can you mix investitures and still get a perpendicularity? So if it takes 1 million units of honors investiture, well, let's take another one of
Endowments.
of endowments investiture to create a perpendicularity. Can you take 500,000 of one shard and 500,000 of the other? And would they still thin the boundary between the realms, or
Sure.
would they act as two separate things?
I think it would depend on whether or not the shards wanted them to mix.
I think they have to want to mix
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, like they have to like be working together. It's like
they have to do this with intent.
I think that has to. Yeah.
I
think it has to.
don't.
otherwise it would be
necessarily
like
agree
oil
with
and
that.
water. Like
Yeah.
they
wouldn't
did
mix.
not want their investitures to like mingle. Like it would. They just wouldn't stick like to each other.
I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think a better analogy here is just mass. Like if you have a trampoline, which is an analogy Brandon occasionally uses for perpendicularities, and you have a bunch of stone here and then a bunch of bricks there, like they're still going to be heavy enough to puncture the trampoline, even if they don't mix.
I just don't
So-
think it would be stable.
Well, a stable perpendicularity is different from perpendicularity. But
Also, the question is this possible?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is kind of a little bit unrelated, but like if you took a gem filled with Stormlight and let it half drain, then somehow figured out how to put Voidlight into gems and like tried to do that process with the half filled gem, like what would happen? Would you get half Stormlight, half Voidlight?
I'm not sure if you
I think so.
could.
Yeah.
We don't
Oh.
know if you
Yeah,
can.
like could you
put-
possibly do that? Like that's well, I mean, in sort of the similarity of like mixing investitures.
Because like it's not exactly the same, but like you can store like fair chemical investiture into a hemalurgic spike. Like you can put like both hemalurgy and fructamy into the same piece of metal.
Yeah, but they interfere, don't they? Or they can.
No, it's just like the other charges count as like space. Like so, it's like you can't have like 100% full of
Right.
fair chemical and
Yeah,
100%
right.
hemalurgy.
I don't know.
Alright.
I have a hard time believing that you could have like a perpendicularity that you could actually walk in less of 2 shards investors without them wanting that to happen. I'm with you on that one, Ian.
Perhaps.
Like there could be very crappy perpendicularities that are very unstable, because Chris does mention stable perpendicularities, right? Like,
Yeah.
what does an unstable perpendicularity look
Yeah.
like? It's not clear, right?
Is it something that's there but it's not very usable? Is it something that moves around, something that appears and then goes away? Who
Yep.
knows?
Yep, and now we're on to Berlin, where we just have a few more.
A few more. We're almost done, guys.
Yep.
One of my favorite questions that don't say anything.
Seriously,
In
though.
the Way of Kings, Dre says, "By the blight caller's rays."
Bright colors.
Right.
So I said,
You said
You
blight.
said blight.
did I?
R's
Yes.
and L's, they're
So-
coming back.
By the bright colors rays. Imran says, "Oh, you want to know what that is? That's a raffle."
I completely forgot this.
Me
Yeah,
too.
no, it's bright color appears only once.
Yep.
In anywhere, and it's the Way of Kings, and it's just Drehi exclaiming one time. Now, one of the reasons this is interesting is because something a lot of us had forgotten apparently is that Drehi is actually a Westerner. He is from, I think, Era or Erie. Shut up. I mixed.
Totally forgot that.
Yeah, no,
I
it's,
think
it's
he's just
super
blonde,
obscure.
though. I don't think he's like gold.
So that would mean he's Ririn?
Yes.
Yeah, I mixed the two countries.
Yeah, he has blonde hair, so presumably Ririn.
Brandon talked about it on Reddit recently. Is the reason I bring it up.
Okay.
And,
So Ririn.
and so that combined with Evie's interesting religious views, very different from anything we see in Aesir, very different from anything we see in the Vorin nations. I'm getting vibes of like sun god worship in Rira, and this bright color could be that.
Who?
Alternatively, this could be a title of either Pelaya or Shalash, the ones who have the surge of illumination and can call brightness, like they can control light.
Sure.
But I feel like that would be the boring answer.
Just because I'm rereading Warbreaker, this really feels like a return name. I don't believe this is actually a returned, but if this was on Nalthus, you would be like, yeah, that's a return name, easy.
I mean, to be honest, Stormfather is also a very returned-like name.
I guess so, because there's all
I guess
mother.
so. It's just, I'm so used to,
Most
Stormfather
compound
being-
words are.
Yeah. But there were returned on Roshar.
Oh, the bright colors, Shalash.
It's
And
Denth.
is there-
It's Denth.
It's Denth. Easy. Actually, we know that Denth didn't actually travel that much.
But
Actually,
he
it
did
only
get
takes
off
once.
world, so he could have made it here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? There's also a somewhat similar weird thing. I forget the exact person or phrase it is, but Teravangian says, like, to Seth.
Oh,
I want to say Life
is-
Brother, but the Coppermind doesn't pull
yes,
anything up for
yes,
that.
it is.
Life
it is the
Brother
Life Brother.
is a thing.
yeah, isn't that
Do we-
sounds
do
like
we
a
not
Shin
have it?
thing?
I looked it up real quick, and in the Way of Kings, when Zeth and Teravangian meet at the end, Teravangian talks to Zeth in Shin, and Zeth is surprised, and Teravangian says, "Yes, I speak your language. Sometimes I wonder if the Life Brother himself sent you to me." To which Zeth responds with, "To bloody myself so that you don't have to. Yes, that sounds like something one of your Vorin gods would do."
Oh, so that's a
So
Vorin
he
thing.
doesn't recognize. Well, we don't know. It's just that we know Zeth doesn't recognize Life Brother as Shin.
My read on this is that Life Brother is the Shin name for one of the heralds.
That
And
sounds
the
pretty
Shin-
likely, yeah.
The Shin don't worship the heralds, but Teravangian uses the Shin name, and that's how it comes up.
Sure. I think that's probably pretty accurate.
So, like, it could be one of the titles. Like, Toln is stone sinew.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
I wonder who that could be.
I don't know, because that's clearly male, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Conveniently.
Yeah.
Although
it
there
could be Ishar,
it
because
could
Ishar
be.
is associated with flesh tangentially, like the soul casting property of flesh,
Yeah, but
which is
that's
sinew.
but this is the life brother, not the flesh brother.
Yeah.
Yes, but like the other thing that has to do with life, plants, is Pelaya. So
Yeah.
All right, let me.
Pelaya is not.
My mind is going like it's Vidal or Pelaya, but like those
Let me just go
They're
for
not
this.
male. Maybe the Shin were just very confused.
Jezrien, probably not. I think he doesn't have much to do with life. Neo is the judge. He's not gonna be it.
Not good
Yeah,
to judge.
Yeah, because we how should him?
Kalak, I don't think he has anything to do with anything.
like
Well, that's
he's
not
associated
true.
with metal.
Yeah.
So
And then Telenel,
on Scadrial, metal is life, easy.
Ishtar.
See, it doesn't make sense for any of the heralds to me as a thing. Like
Yeah.
it's probably could just be a herald, but I don't know which.
Yeah.
This is weird.
it's good to know that there's still weird things in like Way of Kings. That we don't
That's
know.
true. Bright collar life brother. Literally no idea what that even means.
Brandon has to keep us humble somehow.
That's right.
This next one. So someone asked if a non-radiant brought shard plate to Shadesmar, could he bring it back? And Brandon responded, they would not have too many problems with this. It might do some weird things, but bringing it back and forth would not be the problem.
Weird things. Great. Thanks, Brandon.
I'm interested in why the questioner asked that. Like, why would plate get stuck in Shadesmar?
Well, I think there's the idea that it is made of like lesser spren. So would bringing it to the land of the spren, would it turn
Weird.
it back into spren?
But if blades don't do that,
They kind of do. They
Adolin had no issues
But he couldn't summon he
Yeah,
couldn't use her.
she becomes spren shaped, not blade shaped.
Well, I think.
Well, yeah,
I
but
think
the question isn't
Yeah.
the question. Can you bring it back to the physical?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just saying, Evgeni, like, yeah, blades don't have a problem. Like, yeah, they're weird in
Yeah.
the cognitive realm, but you
And
obviously
we've
bring one.
only seen bonded blades. You can't bond plate in the same way.
Well, that's true.
yeah, and it's like the physical blade form was never in Shadesmar. It was like Mylaran form.
My alarm form, the new singer form coming to you
Yeah.
in Stormlight.
Yeah.
Did Adolin have Mylaran summoned when they transitioned? Or was
That's
she
a
dismissed?
good question, and the answer is I don't think so.
Okay.
So
I don't
really,
think
you could say he never actually brought the blade through. Like Maya was already there.
Yeah.
We've never actually seen someone try to bring a short blade through into Shadesmar.
Except when Shallan actually used pattern to like activate the Oath Gate.
I'm not sure if it matters much if the
Yeah.
blade's summoned or not.
I don't think it does.
Yeah. But I think the bond could potentially make shard plate different, and that's why
That's
they
true.
asked.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like dead shard plate. Yeah. Well, not dead. The non-radiant shard plate. You know what I mean. And the last one, oh, perfect. And it's a question on one of my favorite subjects. Do the names of the unmade correlate with the fragmenting of their spirits? Brandon, no. Now, I would just like to point out that some unmade have no hyphens. Other unmade have one hyphen. And the best unmade, Ba Ada Mishram, has 2 hyphens. That means she's the strongest because most hyphens. We have no idea what that means at all. But presumably, this means that they're not like... Ba Ada Mishram isn't like 3 beings that was mangled up into one thing.
I am confused by everything involved in this question.
I think it's reasonable to, if you see 3 component things, to be like, maybe there were 3 components of this being that was made and then unmade.
Where do you stand on the on my idea that Battle Mishram was Shin? Because I thought her name looks suspiciously like X son of Y.
Oh, okay. I see what you're meaning. I hadn't
Which
actually
Brendan
heard that.
rifle?
I'd have to think about that. I lean to no because I want to be the most badass possible. Well, that's the last of these words of Brandon. There's some others. We still got to transcribe a few more. But you can see these words of Brandon and more on wob.coppermind.net, which is our canon.
Hopefully they're posted by the time this episode.
I hope so.
Hopefully.
So, guys, you know what time it is? It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character?
This character is from Roshar.
Menace.
Tien.
Tom.
Braze.
Hoid in drag on a horse.
It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character? Caw.
All right, listeners, you know how the game is played. You send an email to wtcc at 17thshard.com with 5 clues and a character that those 5 clues correspond to. I read each clue aloud. After each one, our panelist of contestants gets a chance to guess who's that Cosmere character.
We're really good at this. Fantastic.
I like messy inches. Messy inches are the best.
This first one was sent in by Fire Moss.
Okay.
Fire moss.
I know
Ooh.
Fire Moss.
Yes, they are on Discord.
Yes.
Oh, that's addicting.
Clue 1. This character is bonded.
Aishi. The Spren. Not the Spren, the Theo.
It is not Aishi.
Wow,
How
that's-
did you miss the opportunity to guess Ayin?
It's not
I
Ayin.
almost guessed Ayin, but I
Wait,
didn't.
was that your guess? Oops. I said nothing.
No, but I'll take it because you said no.
So it's not Ayin?
No, it's not.
Okay. I'm gonna go with the Stormfather.
It is not the Stormfather. Clue 2. This character does not like to do harm.
Windle.
It is Windle.
Nice. Great.
The other 3 clues were this character likes to collect chairs.
Yeah, there
This
you
character
go.
is a gardener. And this character makes people awesome.
There you go.
Huh. Cool.
Straightforward. I
Actually,
like it.
They said amazing, but I corrected it to awesome because that's
Yeah,
the word
that's
Lyft
fair. That's
uses.
fair. Yeah,
Yes.
that's acceptable. Great.
I think that's a little on the easy end, but
That's definitely on an easy end, but that's fine. They do.
sometimes it's
It's a
good to
refreshing
have
change of pace.
Yeah, that is where we don't have to be like, what does this clue mean? What does this clue mean? What does all 5 of these clues mean?
What does it mean to be bonded?
All right, this next one was submitted by Solomonster on the forums.
Okay, that's scary.
Clue 1. This character uses a sword to fight.
Fasher.
It's not Fasher.
Rayoden.
It is not Raiden.
Would you consider a rapier a sword?
What?
Yes. I would.
Yes. What'd you say?
Serini?
It is not Serini. Clue 2. This character dies in battle on screen.
Oh.
Docs?
Not Dox.
So it's not one of the Aralish.
Elend.
It is not Elend.
Eondel?
It is not Eondel.
I'm proud of you guessing Cell.
Yeah, no, because I think that's a pretty good guess. Eondel.
Are you fact checking, Grace?
No, yeah, I'm just looking because I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, I didn't necessarily doubt it. I was just curious because I didn't remember like this.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff.
It's
Oh,
hard to
that's-
remember literally everything.
That's a
Clue
good sign.
3. This
Speak for
character
yourself.
has a religious spouse.
Dies in battle, uses a sword, has a religious spouse. Gavilar.
It is not Gavilar.
Ah! That fits. That totally fits.
Yeah. Yes.
Ah! I felt clever.
It dies on screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm getting like major Cell vibes.
Should answer Emperor's soul things, Argent. That'll help.
I wish I could.
See, we had the easy one, and now we have the let's stare off into space for a while.
I like this one. I think this is a good submission, personally.
Karate?
No, it is not karate. I'm always confused. So it's Ate is the Aeon in her name and not Aray?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. It does.
The instructions are just like find the two vowels each other and that's the Aeon. Like, but they're the same distance apart.
Yeah.
Yay, can't wait to get back to Cell.
It's like Elenoe. I have no idea what the Aeon is that, so I just pronounce everything like it's an Aeon.
I just don't remember enough of the nobility of KE, and I don't want to guess for Sharon's. I don't know. I'll pass.
Clue 4. This character is part of a royal family.
My guess doesn't quite work now. I thought I was so clever. And to be fair, I was gonna try and guess. This is not my guess, but I was going to guess Duke Royal. After with that clue, I was like, but he's not. It is spelled royal with a Y, right? Just so we're clear.
No, it's Royal. Roial.
If you were saying
No.
correctly.
What the clue said.
Yes,
Oh.
the clue
Okay.
is spelled the way you would expect it to be spelled.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Acidon wasn't. I mean, would you count Acidon as religious? A religion, maybe.
You would think this would narrow it down. Like not that many royal families out there.
A royal family.
I mean, it could be like some weird like cousin to a king or something like that. But
That's true.
And you agree that this is a royal family, not just a noble family.
I agree, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I like the way you phrased you said that.
Why do you say?
Because like you sounded very amused right there.
I'm
miracles.
amused because my fact checking says all of this is super accurate and you guys aren't going to be able to complain, but you still can't get it.
Yes.
I was trying to make the Idrian royal family work. In
I know
somehow,
that's
but, like,
literally exactly what I was just doing.
But like nobody's married there.
Well, I was like thinking,
I
was
mean-
Carlin? Yeah.
Ciri is married,
Okay, fine, she is.
but no one dies. So
How inconsiderate of her. and then that leaves us with.
Cell.
I'm
and
gonna guess
Roshan, I guess.
Aidon, but I don't remember him fighting with his sword.
It is not Iodon.
He dies to
frick,
suicide.
I know who it is.
Yeah, but it just says because it says dead in battle, right?
You figured it out, Ian?
Yes, I did.
Okay. When I read this one, I thought to myself, Ian might get it on the 4th clue and will definitely get it on the 5th.
Yeah, I just don't remember the Salish characters.
Uncle Keen?
He doesn't
No.
die.
not
Doesn't
Uncle
die,
Keen.
doesn't use a sword.
Yeah, he is an axe. I don't know.
And my axe. Who dies other than Royal?
Yondel.
Who does die?
Raiden's
I don't know,
mom,
man.
am I right?
Do you give pass?
Yeah. Let
Alright.
Ian have his fun.
Ishin, Iadon's wife.
Yes, and the last clue was this character has a stepson.
Yeah.
When the
Because
hell does she
died
die?
during the attack.
Yes.
Oh,
She-
okay.
She
The
fights-
woman who Sereni trained were fighting back. And one of them ran her through with a sword, and that like scared the other woman to surrender.
So remember when I said it wasn't the Aurelish nobility who were using swords?
and a religious spouse.
Yeah, Iadon's
equals
religious. Yeah,
crazy cultist husband.
Yeah. I like that. That all of that works. I can't argue with
I'm
any of that.
surprised you guessed Iadon instead of her.
I forgot she died.
Yeah, I completely forgot she died.
Yeah.
I would have gotten her earlier because I was like,
I
I could have
compl-
sworn that those noble women didn't die.
Yeah, I completely forgot all of that. That's why I stopped to look it up. I was like, this seems like it's all true, but I want to like see in the Covermind page what it actually says happened.
Nice.
It's like, I guessed Iodon. It's like, oh, he's religious. Oh, wait, she dies.
Right, yeah.
I'm kind of remembering things, but like...
It's been a long time since I've reread Elantris. All right, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Follow us on 17shard.com for all your news, discussion, theories, and fun that you could ever want. Join us in Discord where you can talk to us about whatever. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube. You can leave us a review on iTunes. You can support us on Patreon. You can find all these words of Brandon on Arcanum at wob.coppermind.net. And we will see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ah. All right. Let's clap just for prosperity. Posterity, not prosperity. Clap for prosperity.